All right, we're playing Marincess Mermail. Opponent takes Minstrel, sure. That makes sense because it's the worst card and there's no interaction. Get the Prince, sure. Prince Poseidra. Shadow Squad Pike. Pitch the Poseidra there is strange. Get the Rhine. It's okay, we can course correct. Get Teus straight out onto the field. Okay, that's a legal play. You can do that. Get Bahamut Shark. Bahamut get Lay Virtue. Dragoon Search. I love this interaction so much. Get Virtue Stream. Get a Royal Moulin. That's nice. Might have to force that myself. I like Mermail a lot, but it's very weak to Maxi. Okay, Coral Anemone. This is looking pretty standard. Pitch Dragoons, turn 7, yep. Get another Prince, yep. Summon Trite. Trite Reborn Dragoons. Make Poseidra. Let's fast forward a little bit. Make King, discard. It cannot. 1 second. And then he scoops. Why did he scoop there? Time limit. Okay. Okay. Do you know if the discard 2 of the giant water monster can trigger opponent's Dragoon or Shadow Squad? It cannot, because all of the Atlanteans say if this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a water monster's effect. So it has to be sent in order as cost. It has to be sent for cost. And Moulin Glacia is the effect. So if the effect is negated and you still send, that's the cost. So where's Neptibus? Give you a sec to make the replay public. Sure thing. So Neptibus. Neptibus says you can send one Atlantean monster from your deck to the graveyard, semicolon. Everything before the semicolon is what must be done. So you just do that. And then the chain, you put it on the chain. And then when the chain resolves, you add one Atlantean from your deck to your hand. Both effects except for Neptibus. So Neptibus, and also the second effect, if this is sent to the graveyard to activate a water monster's effect. Target one monster in the graveyard except Neptibus. Target a special summon it. So everything before the semicolon must be done. So only Minstrel can activate Dragoon? No, there's plenty of ways to activate Dragoon. Sending for Neptibus, sending for Teus, sending for Abyss Rhine. Like, there's a whole bunch. Like, all of the... Here. Oh, that's WCQ, so I can't look at it. I'll have to look at my own. Where are my Mermail decks? Okay. So, Mermail is like an A plus B type of deck. So you have cards that send and cards that need to be sent. So Dragoons needs to be sent. Dragoons and Shadow Squad need to be sent. Neptibus also needs to be sent to activate, but Neptibus also sends to activate. So the Atlanteans trigger 1 sent, and Neptibus, Shadow Squad, Pike, Teus, Poseidra, and Ice Jade all send for cost, including Minstrel. So you can send Dragoons with any of those to the graveyard to activate their effects, and then Dragoons will trigger. Even, so there's even more. So like the Coelacanth also sends as cost. It doesn't have to be a water monster, but if the card you discard is a water, it will trigger. Minstrel being a card that doesn't seem like it should be able to activate Dragoon. Why? You can discard this card and one water monster, semicolon. That's the cost. So even if the effect is negated, the cost has been paid. You have discarded the Minstrel and another water monster. It works the same as anything else. It works the same as Rhine or any of the other things that discard. All right, Sam has a replay for us. This one. I don't have a clue what's in my replays. I wish I had time to watch them again. Sam has selected going first. Okay, we start with Throne, of course. You haven't watched it yourself? Okay, let's look standard. Get Squirmer. Trigger, trigger. Summon, summon. Link Cross Sheep. Make a Phantom. Phantom Reborn. Or Cross Sheep Reborn. Make a Yama. That's right, you didn't go DBB. I think the Chainlink ruling on Minstrel is odd. We'll talk about that in a second. Okay, on Chain Soul of Rage. Set Escape, which is the one that destroys. All right, so this is Apo, Rage, Phantom, Escape. So we can pop with Escape. Yama will reborn it. Okay, he dusters us. It's not about missing the timing. I'll talk about that. Okay, plant stuff. Link with his plant. SP. Banish something because he sets a back row before battle. Now goes battle, runs over SP. Sure. Yama summons Blue Dog back. That's cool. Is Yama a dark monster? A fiend monster? If any card is destroyed. Okay, here's Dark Beckoning Beast. Chaos Summoning Beast. Summon it. Make Chaos Angel. Very cool. Get rid of the back row. Calls the Phantom, which doesn't matter. It might be at 3 here. Only 2. 1 for another Lotus. And he scoops. He's seen enough. Very fun Fiendsmith deck. I mean, you will. Okay, impromptu missing the timing lesson. Featuring Mermail. Missing the timing can only happen when it is a when you can effect. There are 4, there's 2 criteria, 2 axes. There's if and whens, there's mandatories and optionals. So, Sangan, let's go ahead and read it. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, add 1 monster. So this is an optional, mandatory, I'm sorry, this is an if mandatory effect. So Sangan has to activate if it's sent from the field to the graveyard. It doesn't say you can. Fallen of Albaz. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can discard 1 card, blah, blah. So this is if optional. If you can. Hello, Duelist Coma. Terror Incarnate. When you can. So when you link summon with Terror Incarnate, it will say you missed the timing. And that is correct, because it's a when you can. So when this card leaves the field, you can special summon a Yubel. And then a when, I can't think of a when mandatory. Cards like Sangan, I think, used to say when, but it doesn't matter if they're mandatory or not. Let me check Light and Darkness Dragon. Okay, Light and Darkness Dragon is a when, that's if. The old one is a when mandatory, but doesn't actually matter. If it's mandatory, it doesn't matter if it's when or if. And there's also a distinction between quick effect and a trigger effect. So trigger effects must be activated as Chainlink 1 or Seagok, which is simultaneous effects go on chain. And so something like a quick effect is Light and Darkness Dragon or Stardust Dragon. All of the negates are quick effects because they must be chained directly to what you're trying to do. So Lady Labyrinth is if quick effect you can. So this must be activated directly in response to a trap card. Combined Creation is once per turn, if your opponent activates, you can special summon a memento. This is a trigger effect. And that's the difference. So optional trigger effects that are when you can are the only things that miss timing, including something really funky, Torrential Tribute. Cards like Torrential Tribute can miss the timing, and I'll explain. So Minstrel says if this is summoned, mill 3, then target a water monster in your graveyard, semicolon. Semicolon is way over here. Place it on the top or bottom of the deck. So what's happening is if this is special summoned, so no matter where in the chain Deep Sea Minstrel is special summoned, she can activate. And she's optional. They're mandatory. Hold on. Shadow Squad is optional, but hold on. So Minstrel mills 3, and then no matter where in that chain. So let's say you summon a whole bunch of monsters that all trigger at once. Deep Sea Minstrel is Chainlink 5. Chainlink 5 will resolve. You'll send 3 cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard, and then you'll resolve the effect. Target a water, put it on the top or the bottom of the deck. And then cards like Minstrel and Dragoon, cards like Dragoons and Shadow Squad will activate in a new chain. So if this is sent to the graveyard, mandatory, add 1 Sea Serpent. So Dragoons is mandatory, and Shadow Squad says if special summon. So this is also mandatory. It doesn't say you can. It says do it. So they will activate. Even if you have no cards in your deck, they'll activate. And the rule used to be in TCG, you would show your deck to your opponent to prove that you don't have anything if you can't. The rules have changed and you just kind of have to trust your opponent. I don't like that, but whatever. So they're both ifs, so they cannot miss timing. If they've met their trigger condition, they will trigger. Where it's weird stuff is when you can. So Elemental Hero Stratos is another when you can. So when it's summoned, you can activate one of these effects, Destroy or Search. So if you activate something as Chainlink 1, and I chain Call of the Haunted to special summon Stratos as Chainlink 2, the chain will resolve backwards. Stratos is summoned as Chainlink 2. Chainlink 1, whatever happens, whatever your card was happens. And then the last thing to happen wasn't Stratos. The last thing to happen was Chainlink 1 resolving, and whatever that entails. So Stratos then doesn't even realize he was summoned. This is a weird thing that people don't understand, and it doesn't make sense, and I can't put it a clear way. You just have to know it's when you can is what misses timing. So Terror Incarnate is when you can, but when you link summon, you're not activating anything. There was no chain here happening. The order of operations of link summoning or other summoning, synchro summoning, fusion summoning, etc., is your monsters go to the graveyard, and then the last thing to happen is special summoning the monster. So let's say you link Yubel and whatever, Terror Incarnate, into Moon. The last thing that happened was the Moon being summoned. The Terror Incarnate went to the graveyard first, and then the Moon was summoned. So monsters that miss the timing can miss the timing when they're being used as material. And you will see this a lot if you play Yubel, that it says misses timing, and because it can miss timing is why they don't play Ultimate Nightmare. If this didn't miss timing, then people would play Ultimate Nightmare because you get one extra free body just by linking this off. Something that used to matter a lot was Light Pulsar Dragon, and it was when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target a level 5 or higher Dark Dragon, special summon that target. And when it was first translated, because it was released in Japanese, and then they translated it incorrectly, or there was a mistranslation or something, the translation didn't miss timing, so you could use Catapult Turtle to FTK your opponent. Catapult Turtle also received a power level errata, and Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, but not Light Pulsar. So you would summon Red Eyes Darkness Metal. Red Eyes Darkness Metal summons Light Pulsar. You tribute Red Med for Catapult Turtle. Burn for, 14. Tribute Light Pulsar. Burn for 1250. Light Pulsar triggers, reborns Red Med. Red Med reborns Light Pulsar. Tribute Red Med, tribute Light Pulsar, and then just kill your opponent that way. Infinite times. But Light Pulsar misses timing, so the last thing to happen was Light Pulsar okay. Catapult Turtle is a cost. So Light Pulsar goes to the graveyard, and then in the chain, you inflict the damage to your opponent. So the last game action to happen was not Light Pulsar going to the graveyard. It was the damage being inflicted to your opponent. And Soul Taker was also played in 2012. It was played at various other times, but because it forces missing the timing. So your opponent would go Red Med and Light Pulsar, and that's very, very annoying because if you kill both of them, Light Pulsar reborns the Red Med every single turn, every time it dies. Light Pulsar is not once per turn. So the solution to this, or one solution, was Soul Taker. You Soul Taker their Light Pulsar, then the last thing to happen was your opponent gaining 1,000 life points, because it's a then. So destroy their Light Pulsar, then they gain 1,000. The last game action to happen was gaining 1,000 life. And something weird. So, as I said, Torrential Tribute and Bottomless Trap Hole, for this purpose, they're the same card. So, Bottomless Trap Hole and Torrential Tribute both say when your opponent summons, or when a monster summoned, destroy that monster or whatever. But by the nature of being a normal trap card, they are optional. They are set face down on the field, and you have to decide to flip them up. So if your opponent summons a monster, you don't have to activate Bottomless Trap Hole. By the rules of the game, normal trap cards are optional. So something really funny. Do I want to know a fun fact? I do, but 1 second. So, I swear Starlight Road had a different text. I'm not going to say what I was going to say because I thought it used to negate the activation. I need to check the original text. Okay, the original text is negate the effect. So I think it works the same. I'm not actually sure. So how it was ruled at the time, and I think it would be the same thing. I don't know, though, because it resolves without effect, because the effect is negated. And Master Duel does not actually do a good job of showing this, but if the activation is negated, that part of the chain doesn't happen. So it's very, very niche, but there are some weird, super niche situations that I'm not even going to get to because I can't think of a situation right now, that negating the activation, the last thing to resolve was the chain. Now I can't remember what There's a couple fairies that like deal with the counter traps. What are they? This one, Bountiful Artemis. Okay, this is, never mind, this doesn't even start a chain. Vendalgion. If all right, never mind on that. Okay, fun fact: the funniest counter to Snake Eyes is Slifer the Sky Dragon, because if they summon a Snake Eyes with 2,000 Earth S, it goes boom. Only if they summon it and attack. In attack position. Interesting. Interesting. I don't think this is a very practical counter, especially because the Slifer's actually quite good against links. So little links, any small links get destroyed. But I think it's extremely unpractical. That is funny, though. So that was my mini lesson on missing the timing. I hope you learned something. I hope it was coherent. And there's many more other things I would want to say on this, but I would need to take a moment to, more than a moment, I would need to take some time to put all of my thoughts together on missing the timing. That was the short, impromptu missing the timing lesson. And most cards these days don't miss the timing. They normally just put if on everything. There's very, very few things that can't. So it's normally now quick effects that must be chained directly in response to something. So Dominus Impulse, Lady Labyrinth, any negate, Stardust Dragon, Baron, they all must be chained directly to what you want to negate. And other games don't work like that. Like Magic the Gathering Stack works completely differently. In Magic, you don't have to... In Magic, the stack is not locked like the chain is. So when you build up a chain in Yu-Gi-Oh!, the chain then completely resolves every single thing on the chain. So once we both pass priority, if there's 2 priority passes, the chain is locked in. So this is also something that people don't understand. So I activate something on the chain. I pass priority to you. You have a chance to activate something on the chain. You pass to me. If I think you're bluffing and I pass back to you, the chain then resolves. That forces the chain to resolve, and you can make it work in your favor because you can activate something, make it look like you want to activate something else, do it in a weird order. There's situations that you can do this on quick effects. And if your opponent doesn't activate a quick effect, you can then not chain anything else, and the chain will resolve. They don't get another priority pass because they had their priority and they passed it. So Magic Stack isn't locked like that. When something is added to the stack and then it resolves, you can then, there's another priority pass after every time, and you can activate something. Ryziel Cross is going to be annoying since it can negate something in the chain while it's resolving. While it's resolving. Yes, there's some things that can resolve or that don't activate. And I need to read Ryziel Cross. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, this is the field spell. Mentos had a priority pass but didn't have any negates. I'm not sure what you mean without context. Okay, once per turn, when a monster effect activated by your opponent resolves, you can detach a material from a Ryziel monster you control, and if you do, negate that effect. Yes, I've read this before, now I remember. I've played 0 games with Ryziel so far. I'm saying it felt like an imperm. Okay. Yes, so this doesn't activate, and I think it's very, very clever design, and I like this type of thing, but I think it is bad for the game because new players don't understand. So I will say things like your negates must be changed directly to what you're trying to negate, otherwise you can't negate it. And then Ryziel Cross happens and negates it during the chain. And you don't have to tell your opponent if you're going to negate. So I have a Ryziel Xyz with material. You activate your monster effect. I say no response. You go to resolve it, and I say during the chain, while it's resolving, Ryziel Cross negate. And then you're frustrated. Like, it's just a feel bad for new players because of the priority passes on the game. And it'll also feel bad in Master Duel because it will look like your monster is about to resolve, but then they detach instead. Okay, the meth lab is like smelling super weedy right now, and it smells like good weed. Like would partake if they offered. I like them adding an Xyz rank 4 deck that works with negating on the resolution. Okay. So mechanically it's very cool, and I like that a lot, and there is a bit of this like bluffing. Zexal Weapon Pegasus. This one, Twin Saber, or a different one? Once per turn, you can negate a monster effect activated on your opponent's field. Yes, yes. Same thing. This happens during the resolution and is very frustrating when things resolve without effect because they don't negate the activation or anything. Like, they don't use the chain and they don't interact like normal. And Magic has its fair share of things that don't resolve how you think they should, that trip people up. But this, I think, is dangerous card design, especially when you make it good, because players do not understand what their cards do. I've seen so many players not know what their own cards do, and they say the wildest things because they don't have any clue what their opponent's cards do, and they don't have any clue what the scope is of what they can do. So I was watching Tap Tap yesterday, and his opponent took his Grand Guignol with Memento Mace, and I saw this coming, but I didn't say anything about Mace because I just arrived. I didn't know if the opponent had Mace or not. But he summons Grand Guignol, and that was like the only play he could make. His opponent he negates Grand Guignol, and then takes it. I don't remember what he negated it with. And then takes it with Memento Mace. And then he said, do I get it back? And I said, yeah, these things normally give it back. Read Mace in the graveyard, because I literally didn't know at the time. I thought it gave it back, but it's never actually come up because the game is over either way. But it is still end phase, and he goes and he reads it, take control till the end phase. He's like, okay, so I do get it back. And then the opponent, he goes to end phase, and the opponent flips up the fusion spell. And I don't know if it can fuse into anything, but he then makes Dragos Stapelia with Tap Tap's Grand Guignol, and Tap Tap is super frustrated because it's just like, how are you supposed to know what they're playing? And you literally have to know what they're playing and all of their cards in order to play correctly. I don't think that situation could have been played differently because I saw Tap Tap's hand, but very frustrating situation. Ryziel Cross says negate any monster effect is dangerous card design. Yes. Yes. The hand, field, or graveyard, like that Gaia Saber or whatever, the fusion. This one. This one. This one. I don't know. One of these Gaias only negates like on the field or in the graveyard. This one. Wait. Not that one. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't care. Anyways, there's some Gaia I read the other day that negates a monster that activates in the hand or graveyard, like Gravedigger's Trap Hole, and it's like, that's so bad. Like, that, like, isn't going to be relevant. Like, yes, potentially, but it's not worth summoning. Okay, do we have more replays to cut in? I hope I answered your question on Minstrel. And so, like, another part of it is Poseidra Abyss is part of that loop, because if it's CC summoned and sent to the graveyard, you can discard a card and summon a bunch, summon 3 things back, and then you need to put Minstrel as Chainlink 1 and Mermail King as Chainlink 2, because Mermail King will search your deck, shuffle it, and then Minstrel will put the card on top. So you want to leave whatever you're putting on top on top. It's usually Dragoons or Neptibus.